from that whole experience in Germany, you, of course, made your next move to Surbiton in 2016, where you're on now. This move has proved successful with 3 consecutive Men's England Hockey League wins.
We've had a good time.
In each of the years you've been along. Surely that's down to your defensive presence.
No, not at all. We signed 6 or 7 of us in the first year. So when I came in, there was 6 or 7 of us that moved. And it was one of them, like, you talk about like who you sign and things like that. And we never once. So I joined the club, and I think only 2 players that I joined with I'd never played with before, which is pretty bizarre as a 23-year-old male coming into a side. So actually 10 of our side is from my under 21 age group. So we never really sign anyone really new as such. We sign people that are right fit for the group. So it's more personality and skill rather than just skill, which is where other teams in the league have done differently. They've gone for better players, where we necessarily may not have gone for the better players. We've gone for the right fit. And then what that just creates, again, is not really a different culture, if that makes sense, than what we've got now. So when we had it in 2016, we basically got in a lot of players, and a lot of us were all in consultation with each other about it, all like, oh, are you going to go? Like, yeah. And they were basically just waiting for one to sign. And once one signed, I think it was either, I think Gooders decided, he was like, yeah, I'm going. I think one of the teams asked him, he's like, I'm not going there. They don't even have dugouts to the pitch. And that was it. And then that was the decision made. Gooders made, well, yeah, I'll go then. And then suddenly you get a knock-on effect. And we actually conceded a lot of goals, or we did concede a lot of goals as a team. But what we always did was just outscore people. And that was the philosophy for a few years. And now we're trying to perfect. And annoyingly, last season, they got to the stage, whilst I was injured, they got to a stage where it really was, we're not going to concede. So I say from a group point of view, we're probably one of the most attacking teams in the league. And we're now trying to shore up a defence. And the people we've signed over the course of the last 2 years are 2 fantastic defenders that have come in and been great for us. So from that point of view, I wouldn't say anything to do with me. To be honest, it was more everybody else further forwards.
you got to appreciate your own contributions as well. As a defender who has the range of passing that you have, you mentioned that, and you, as a team, score lots of goals. You then get told you've got to shore up the defence correctly, I'm sure. How has that kind of tapered your own game? What changes have you had to make?
Just be more consistent. So my decision making is nowhere near as erratic as it was. So I'm very much so majority of people will see 4 passes. Some people will see the 5th, and I'll see the 6th. But the problem is I used to force the 6th a lot. So sometimes it might be on, and I'd force it. So it'd be like a 30% chance. And I'm a bit of a risk taker on that front, which had its own drawbacks I'll explain afterwards. So I was always that person that would play the 6th, and I'd be like, it's on. And then I'd be like, it's not on, Brendan, what are you doing? But I'd still play it anyway. And that led to some tough discussions. So pre-2019 World Cup, I had a discussion with the head coach and basically said, you're forcing play too much. I can't trust you. Which as a player is really hard to take, because although it's talking about your hockey, because I envisage myself as a hockey player, that's my job, that's who I am. To hear something so personal, you can take it one or 2 ways. You can go, he doesn't know what he's talking about, what you're on about. Or you really have to look deep and go, nah, he might have a point here. So I obviously didn't go to, I actually flew out as a non-playing reserve. So I flew out to India and basically sat in the stands and watched the team. And that was one of the toughest parts for me to watch as a player, and toughest things, because I had to really sit down and go, do you know what, he's got a point. I am too risky here. So what I've done is I've tried to find the balance between still being aggressive whilst retaining basically less risky passes. So for me, defensively, actually, funnily enough, is actually on the ball, just by being better on the ball. Whilst also, again, just learning what I can do and what I can't do as a defender. So as I said before, I'm a big guy, just start using my body a bit more. Put a bit of timber on because I'm a lanky beanpole. Put a bit of meat on me, cracking, I'll use that even more. So I guess it's kind of understanding what my strengths were as a defender, because hockey's quite weird in the fact that you get taught to defend a certain way and you get taught to pass a ball a certain way. But if you look at golfers, for example, like Matt Wolff at the moment, his swing is so different to Tiger Woods' is. So you don't tell the guy who's hitting it really, really well, you don't tell him to change his swing. What you do is you try and understand his swing to then help him be a bit more consistent. Whereas with hockey, we always try and perfect people to be the same thing, if that makes sense. So defending wise, a lot of guys basically get low in a tackle and they try and stay mobile low. I've got a surgical back and I'm 6'3". Right, okay, what can I do? Well, if I can use my body a bit more and I can actually probably get a bit more upright and pick things a little bit more, great. What can I do? I can stop you leading through, so I'll just get a bit more physical with you because that suits my game, not me to suit other people's. It's what suits me. And I guess it's just, again, it's just confidence in what you can do and knowing what you can do, whilst learning other stuff, don't get me wrong. But there's limits to what somebody else can do, to what I can do, positively and negatively. It's just knowing that bit.